there are a lot of challenges, especially in applying to marketing. I went out to a couple of AI sites and I found a lot of like 6 or 7 of the top AI and machine learning goals are related to customers, customer. Okay. And what marketing is trying to get is they're trying to figure out the big data was kind of a flop because of spurious correlations, but they now think, okay, we can get the computer to predict the next action of the consumer, the customer journey, and we can do customer-centric media placement. We can get there before they're there. Okay, well, 2 problems with that. One is I can't predict me, and the second is you can't predict me. Okay. But that aside, what the CEO wants is known customer results, known return on investment, scalable growth. So they're at kind of cross purposes, but the CEO suspects that AI is going to deliver customer insights, and maybe that will somehow connect to scalable growth, although I think that's tenuous at best. Okay, so the challenges are spurious correlations. The more data you have, the more guaranteed it is that your correlations will be nutty. And big data isn't therefore better. So what you need is a labeled data set. And when we think about machine learning, Watson used 120,000 previous Jeopardy clues. That's how they built Watson's ability to play Jeopardy. IBM spent 17 plus years trying to get Dragon Naturally Speaking to work even passably. And Google did it in about 5 years. Why? They took the corrections. They could see what you put in, the voice pattern, and they could see that it was wrong. That's key. And then they could see what you put in, and they knew that that was right. And that data set, as somebody from IBM told me, we could have done it that fast if we would have had their data set. Yeah. But it was crucial that they flipped it around, and they let the user base build a labeled data set. Tesla approached it the same way. Instead of taking cars out into the desert and trying to get them to follow a street, what they did was they took their cars and filled them with sensors so they could tell what the car was around it, what the car was doing, all about the car, and then they paid attention to how you drive it and how you correct it for emergency situations. Brilliant, actually. Okay, so this is from a DARPA presentation. That's a Defense Department, and with a labeled data set, the computer was able to recognize a 15 mile per hour speed limit. Okay, 63% as it zoomed in. Okay, but when they added a sticker, which would be like a surprise element, then it read the 1 as a 6, and 80% of the time it said this is a 65 mile an hour speed limit sign. Now imagine that you're going through a school district, and all of a sudden your car speeds up to 65 because it saw the speed limit sign change. We got to be careful. Therefore, AI have been relying on human labelers. Okay? Now, I've gotten some feedback since the presentation from some smart people, and they were talking about adversarial now. They've got adversarial AI, where one computer evaluates the comparison, say like in facial recognition. One computer sees the way a computer remanufactures a fictitious face, and the other computer says that's not a good face. And then the computer tries again, and it keeps trying, and the two computers keep evaluating each other. And that's where we get improvements we've gotten some great improvements in voice recognition and in facial recognition. Okay? But it started with a labeled data set. The tricky part is, how do we build a labeled data set with marketing, where we don't really have a right or wrong answer, right? Mail has great advantages. First of all, your brain has 10 times more touch than vision processing. Okay, you've heard me talk on this before. Secondly, millennials, even more than other age groups, read their mail and ignore digital ads. And because of that engagement, mail is best because we can also track it, mail to the house, ship to the house. So inherently, the matchback is a labeled data set. And that's how I've been able to develop machine learning for the last 25 years as a pioneer, and still really undefeated by other modelers. Okay, that's just my little commercial. Okay, so the foundation is it connects with your brain, and it's guaranteed engagement. Now my slide presentation is saving itself. And so I'm stuck here. Okay, so we get maximum customer knowledge because we ship to the, and we'll go a little slow here, because we mail to the address, and then when we get an order, we ship to the address. So we get a tight correspondence. We know exactly who was mailed. We know they engaged with the mailing piece because they either threw it in the trash or somehow set it aside, responded to it. But they had to engage with it. Unlike digital ads where we've been trained to look at the article, not look at the perimeter and where the ads are. Okay? And so it's labeled. It's inherently usable for machine learning, which again is the golden age of mail. Okay, now my very smart friends said, well, yeah, but mail is really expensive. And so just to put it in perspective, I looked up, there was a study I read where they did clicks in a regional area for flowers. So if you're saying, I want to buy flowers, Google would charge you about $5 for that. And on average, half of the click-throughs bounce, which means no, they don't even look at one link. Okay, so you take that 5 and you double it, which is $10 for standard engagement. Contrast that with mail, a nice mailer, multi-page, full color, even personalization is under $1 if you've got more than a few thousand pieces. I mean, 10,000 to 100,000, you can get around $1. Okay, so it doesn't take, and if you got 100,000 or better, it's way below that, 70 cents kind of thing. Okay, so what percent don't get looked at? Well, like I said, you've got a high percentage of looked at. So the engagement right off the bat is higher. So multiply that out, and it turns out that it can be way more cost effective to do mail than digital. Now, last week, Nordstrom's cut its forecast for full year sales and profit after reporting weaker than expected first quarter results. Why? Eric Nordstrom said they stopped sending reward notes to their loyalty customers in the mail in an attempt to get the program online and reach customers faster. Really, they said, we thought it would be cheaper to do that. The results were hurt by stopping this use of direct mail. Really important. Procter & Gamble, on the other hand, did I miss the Procter & Gamble? Procter & Gamble, on the other hand, I looked up, there is a study where they cut $700 million out of their digital ad budget, or a lot of it out of the digital ad budget, and the sales actually went up. So anyway, another case study that I was directly involved in was a retailer with 80 stores. It was a high-ticket merchandise that's something that you would buy at best once a year. We're better off having repeat purchases, but there just weren't any. They hired, so I would say it wasn't a good direct mail study. They hired a new VP of marketing who said, why should we mail our existing customers who understand what we buy? We did a holdout test, and this is a different client, musician's friend, where I have some numbers that I can show. The people that didn't get mailed, $12. People that did get mailed, $22. After 3 months of not mailing certain customers, $38 plus, or $60 if they did get mailed. So powerful. We also studied, they believed that their web traffic came from all over the place. That even though they had stores, they wanted to expand nationally. Well, it turns out that web customers even, not just this doesn't make sense. Web customers are near the store. Just flat out. Okay, it was within 10, 15, 20 miles, something like that. Okay, so I told the VP of marketing, we can do a holdout test and we can show you who bought because we had this labeled data set. We also had modeling. We showed them a 300% ROI. We then matched more loosely because we were seeing a lot of next door neighbors buying. See, mail gets passed along. Digital doesn't. And so we saw the pass along effect clearly and got 900%, or 9 times, is its pass along slide. Okay, and this is the kind of growth we got. And this is, again, public information. When we started, they were at about 50 million, and when they said, we know everything now. Now, if you look at their public at the analysis after they've gone public, they said you need better margin, which is what I was going to work on next with them, but oh well, they let me go. But anyway, that's a heck of a big growth, right? Biggest growth they ever had. They took what we learned in mail, poured gas on it with mass media, And the answer is mail delivers. It cuts through the clutter. It connects with your brain. It gives us maximum customer knowledge. It lets the customer tell us what they want instead of trying to guess it with untrained AI. It's the golden age of mail. I'm John Miglautsch. Have a great day.